I chose the word telos over purpose because purpose is already becoming commoditized. And in fact, there's an article in the Harvard Business Review, of all places. I mean, why wouldn't that be a credible source? And it is. And it argues in 2015, there was an argument that says, if you adopt a purpose, you'll make more money. And the article was entitled The Purpose Case for Business. Or the business case, rather, for purpose. The business case for purpose. And as I looked at that, I thought, no, that's harvesting something important, meaning, purpose, and using it in an old form. And have argued that what we really need is a purpose case for business, not a business case for purpose. And so I chose the word telos because it was a different word. And because it's a Greek word in its origins, and in its original articulation, it always implied some kind of social benefit. So the word telosity is a word I invented to illustrate that here's an organization that's migrating towards something bigger than itself. It's migrating towards something that has some kind of social implication that's favorable and positive. And that this movement that I've called Telosity is the growing number of businesses that are beginning to say, we need to be about something important, and what is that? And then putting money to work as a vehicle for being able to achieve that.
Yeah, for others.
For others, exactly. So at the heart of Telos is always something outside myself. And I learned in the brand work, if you look at a really powerful brand, it always involves the intersection of two things. One is an organization's sense of itself, its best self, as it were. And the second is some kind of social tension or some need that lies outside itself to which it can be relevant. So you look at a thing like the Dove campaign, the campaign for real beauty that the Dove products are iconically representing. And what are they about? Well, they're actually about the recognition that different body forms are as beautiful and as important as those which are classically represented perhaps by the fashion industry. And so it's saying something that is important that lies outside of itself. It's saying something that represents a real need of others. And to be able to speak to that is what makes that a powerful brand.
Yeah. Well, and that gets to be really interesting for us as human beings, because those two elements sound very similar to how I would understand myself, or I'm growing to understand myself and my purpose, my own purpose. So there's this interesting kind of, we think about these big brands finding their purpose in the same way that an individual person does.
Well, why would it be any different?
I know.
I think we often forget that organizations are composites of a bunch of people. And that what gives them meaning as an organization isn't going to be very different from what gives us as individuals meaning. And the moments, again, that we reflect on as being most meaningful in life always involve giving something or connecting with other people. That's how we're wired as human beings. And so when we build businesses and we design them to be all about themselves, then they don't tend to work after a while. And so that's why it's not surprising that we find meaning in businesses happening by an articulation of some impact that lies beyond the boundary of the business itself, that it is in service to something else. And in this case, a benefit for others, which inevitably leads us to something that we call a social benefit.
So I think what I'm hearing too that you're saying here is that really the longevity or the sustainability of a business is going to be much higher if it has a purpose for others. All other things being equal, the operating efficiency and all the other pieces of the business, but that if it has a purpose for others, the horizon of how that company will last is going to be much longer. Is that?
I think there's truth in that anything that's relevant tends to last longer than something that's irrelevant. And in our dissatisfaction with the consequences of a lot of growth, particularly in Western civilization, that says, actually, I'm not quite sure we haven't messed up the planet. Maybe we should do something about that. That being relevant means doing something about some of the social consequences of excess. That might lead us to say we actually need businesses that do enough rather than more. We know that growth is becoming increasingly hard to get a hold of and find. Well, in a scarce growth environment, what do? Well, you better be doing something important and doing something relevant. Now, whether that means the business lasts a lot longer in some ways is good and it's not good. When I look at my own maple forest of trees just across the fields from here, sometimes it's necessary for some of those big old trees to come down in order that new ones can come up. And we certainly need businesses that last, but I don't know if we need them all to last forever. But we certainly need that constant refreshing. And so many of the challenges are, how do we change businesses that exist already, and how do we cultivate new ones? And we need a bit of both going on.